Hey guys, Dylan Ponder here with CTS Mobility. So we have started this brand new podcast to kind of showcase who we are, what we do, just to have a little more impromptu, a little bit more information about us. We are going to try our best to not make this all salesy or about products or services. We just want to showcase our team, our partners, the people that we work with every day, and we'll try to always take your input and your funny questions or just things you happen to want to know about us and move on from there. So if anything ever comes up, please be sure to reach out to me or our LinkedIn post or YouTube, TikTok. Let us know anything you want to know about from our end, and we'll be sure to address it on next week's podcast. So this is Diving Into Mobility with Dylan Ponder, and enjoy the show. So, okay, everybody. So we've got Dan Hurd here and Vic Jain, so two of our owners. We wanted to bring them on today just to kind of showcase a little bit about ourselves, little fun things, but also just some history of CTS and where we came from and where we're going. So just a fun little icebreaker of the day is we're just going to go first jobs around the horn. So first jobs, whether that be when you were a teenager, your first paying job, I guess you could say. So Dan, we'll let you kick that off just to give our listeners something a little fun to hear about each other. But also co-hosting here today with me on our first podcast is Amber Lee. She's our lead of marketing now at CTS. And then, of course, like I said, we've got Vic Jain and Dan Hurd. So Dan, what first job for you? What was it?
I was 15 years old and I started a carpet cleaning business. I borrowed the money from my dad to buy a carpet cleaner. I had a friend who had his driver's license. And so we would go around and put flyers on houses and clean people's carpet and cold call restaurants and go in and say, hey, can I give you an estimate? And they probably thought that I worked for some company. And then I would show up at the restaurant at closing time with all my carpet cleaning equipment as a 15-year-old with a 16-year-old buddy who was driving and was pretty good at it for a while.
What'd you make? What'd you make 10 years ago?
10 years ago?
No, I was just referencing that. 15, you may have been 10 years ago.
In 1976, I made between $35 and $200 an hour.
Okay, that's pretty good for a 15-year-old.
That is really good.
Vic, what you got for us, sir?
First job. Mine started way before that. I started working as a young lad. I worked. I think my first official job was working for my mom and dad in their clothing store. They had a retail clothing store that focused on denim products, and I was maybe in sixth grade when I started helping them there. I think in seventh and eighth grade, they would leave me at the store with on the weekends with like a friend, maybe someone that didn't really know how to run the business, but could babysit me. And I would work the business, and I would have a babysitter at the same time. Someone to make sure that I took credit cards and pinned up clothing and just did different things. But yeah, that would.
Well, at least we
wonder
know,
if that's breaking any child labor laws.
At least we know cards were around
when. Violating some labor laws back then. But yeah, no, that would be my first real thought of a job.
Well, I think I was 15 or 16. I was just pure manual labor, built office furniture. So the furniture you would normally see in like Amber's cubicle or desk surfaces, things like that. I helped to build those things and
I did some of
hay
that
in the summer.
I definitely did some physical labor stuff too.
So we've only got a few minutes with our two owners here. The big reason I wanted to pull them on for our first official CTS Mobility podcast is just to kind of showcase who we are as a team and as a people. And obviously these two guys started these from the ground up. We want to know kind of how that came to be, and even maybe a fun story, Dan, Vic, of how you guys even met. So Dan, you may remember a few more things than Vic. He seems to have that hair slicked back a little more than us sometimes. So, what was that? What was that first official meeting? That paper scratch at the bar tab, or like what was the napkin math that made this company come to be?
So I'll start. Vic and I met through a mutual business relationship with Epson long time ago. And when I had an opportunity to get involved in tablet computing, I had no idea what to do or what that meant. And our mutual connection said, you ought to go talk to Vic. I think we had met one time socially or maybe twice. And he said, go talk to Vic. He can help you out. So actually 20 years ago, might even be 21, because I think we started the company in 2004, but I think we kind of kicked this around for about a year before we started the company. So yeah, I don't know what you want to add to that, Vic, but
yeah, I think that sounds about right. So as Dan mentioned, a mutual friend introduced us. I was selling hardware. Dan got the opportunity to start selling some tablet computing products, and I think the rest is kind of history. We started for a few months, sort of, to see how we thought things would go and get a feel of the actual business, and realized that there was a career in this. So 20 plus years later, this is what it's become.
For those of you that maybe don't know,
I'm gonna make one more comment that I think is kind of fun. The first time that we really made a big investment, the products that we were buying were not in distribution. They weren't in the Synexes or the Tech Datas at the time and so forth. And so Vic and some of the people he worked with at the time pulled out a credit card and put $1 million worth of tablet computers on a credit card.
On American Express.
Yeah. And we became big dogs in the market really quickly.
So for our listeners out there that don't know, so we're known as CTS Mobility, otherwise known as Complete Tablet Solutions. We're based out of Austin, Texas. But guys, were there ever any, like, obviously, Dan, you've got a more OG shirt on right there, logo wise, but was there ever another type of name or another anything that maybe we haven't heard of as a team member?
Well, the first products were tablets, right? So you can tell when you see a product that's selling. And when we started looking at names that were not trademarked, were available to get the internet names for, the .com names for, everything was available. So we were like, I think we're onto something, because and so what we found was people weren't looking for hardware; they were looking for solutions, which is why we're such a solutions-oriented company. And CompleteTablet.com was available, so we got that. And then, but we kind of recognized that if we called the company, if we made the logo CTS and made that our brand, long term, we'd have more flexibility than if we really just branded ourselves as Complete Tablet. It did box us in for a while, and that's why we made the change to CTS Mobility. But the reality was, we always recognized that was probably too narrow. So we always kept the door open. And then the rebranding to CTS Mobility happened, I think, about 4 years ago, probably. And so who knows?
Well,
maybe we'll be like one of our big carrier partners and rebrand again sometime soon, as far as our look and feel goes. But yeah, that's why. And that really started with tablet computers. But back then, we're pretty much Wi-Fi, and very expensive to add a PCMCIA card and make them into a, back then you'd spend a ton to put a PCMCIA card in and be 3G, which was very expensive for data. So it was just like there was a curve there where having a mobile device other than a phone with connectivity started to make sense.
So Dan, I know you only got another minute or so with us, so that leads us to another fun one that we've been discussing as a team here lately. Is your first ever communication device that was mobile? What was yours before we let you go? And I'll dig into Vic for a little bit.
So the funny thing was, I used to sell a lot of Microsoft licensing to big OEMs. Like if anybody remembers Compaq Computer, I sold them all their Microsoft licensing, including CD and even diskette replication. Really showing my age now, but because we were doing so much business, I had a Motorola StarTAC flip phone then, and the carrier service then was $1 a minute, and I had an $800 a month phone bill back in the mid '90s, and I got away with it because we were doing so much business with this big company, and it was pretty cool.
Awesome. Vic, I know you got asked that earlier today. What was yours?
I did. And I think my answer was similar. I was using a big Motorola handheld phone, and I think I was paying $1 a minute. I didn't have quite the budget Dan did. I think I mentioned earlier today that my boss was holding me to 40 or $50 a month. So my calls were very short and under a minute. And yeah, I remember being a really cool guy with that big, huge phone on my side. And the fact that really nobody had one, and I had this big flip phone.
Well, you know,
I'd almost be afraid to ask Amber's.
I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to drop because I have to get to this other call. But I will say, I guess if I would have kept to that, I would have had to use my phone for Morse code. So, and I'm not that old, so I still don't know Morse code. So anyway, you guys carry on, and I'll look forward to being on the next podcast.
Got it. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate your time. So guys, that's Dan Hurd. So one of our original owners and founders. So he resides in Austin, Texas, and Vic is in one of our branch offices in Long Beach, California. So he's a couple hours behind us, just lunchtime there. So I'm here based in Fort Worth, Texas. So just up the street from our headquarters, and I control all of Texas and all of the West. But really, the point of this podcast is, and kind of just be more informative, is we want to show you guys kind of a peek behind the curtain. We don't want this geared towards business or geared towards products and services and things that we sell. We want it more informing you of who we are and what we do. So another reason and for anybody that's curious, mine I think was the 3310 Nokia candy bar phone. But a big reason I brought Vic on today is he is very much a leader in our company with a vision of the future. So he works with our leadership team constantly to make sure that we are looking ahead rather than being reactive as to what we're doing right now, and really looking at that proactive approach. So Vic, just on a personal front, a CTS front, maybe not even a business money, that type of lookout, where do you see us going in 2024, 2025 and beyond? Because obviously even in the 1 year that I've been here, we've probably grown by, a third. And so where do you really see us going, into the future?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And I think where you look at ownership and where Dan and I and team have kind of evolved to through this in this business, we've seen tremendous growth, right, over the last 2-year period. Dillon, you mentioned it, even the year you've been here. We've been in a unique position to grow with our partners, and through those partnerships with Apple, Verizon, others, we've really been able to go through this next evolution of technology. So, CTS is going to continue to grow as a company. We're going to bring on strong people to help through that growth into 4G, 5G, as you can see now, products. And I think our future is really bright. I think we've, as a 20-year-old veteran company, 20 plus year company, we've been able to establish ourselves as a trusted partner, and we'll continue down that path.
So some of our listeners may not know that we reside in Austin. We have a office in Long Beach, but we also have a piece of our company headquartered in India. And of course, I'm not going to to butcher the city name there, but can you give us a little info on that for some of our people that may not know?
Yeah. So
And for any listeners
Chandigarh,
out there, they
India.
are our people.
Yeah. So Chandigarh, India, about 5 years ago, we really looked at trying to augment some of our staff to give that next level uh, of service to our clients, and felt that we could get some resources based out of India, not knowing that it would turn into what it has today, with over um, 70 people in India, a brand new facility. But that facility was really geared towards helping us deliver the best customer experience possible. And they've really been able to do that. A lot of very talented, smart people, highly educated. A lot of our folks in India, from a technical perspective, have a lot of very strong certifications as far as within our scope of work. So whether it's a router certification on a particular product, a lot of our technical folks there, they support our back office for our customer experience, being able to support our clients and needs that they may have. So it could be just as simple as getting an invoice. Our India team can help support that as well. So really excited with the growth we've had there. We'll continue to bring both people on within India and strategic people in the U.S. in our Austin and other areas of our geography within the U.S. And yeah, just excited to continue to grow.
Very cool. So, guys that are listening, whether it's my mom clicking through 50 times just to get us some clicks, like we said, we want this to be fun, informative. So, I am going to keep Vic on for some of these fun questions that got asked by our team, and of course, we'll have Amber do those as well, since she brings a younger voice to our team here, who we kind of vary from all sorts of ages and backgrounds. So. For those that may not notice or can't really see from here, I have quite a few tattoos. So that seems to be a fun thing amongst our team that they wanted to know a lot of information about. So I don't know why, but a lot of them want to know what kind of jolted that. So for those that can't see, two sleeves here. This mainly just came from family background. I'm quarter Japanese. My grandmother was full, came straight from Japan with my granddad, who was in the Marine Corps for 21 years. So over the last couple of years, these took a big question amongst our team was, how long did those take? So right at going on 2 years. So I kind of just started as like I want to do something for me type thing. And they just slowly expanded. So one whole arm is for my son and I. Who's Jake. He's 4.5. We'll make sure we get a picture up there somewhere on this editing. And then the other one is for my whole family, just with flowers for the women who have passed in my family, and a samurai for my grandmother's heritage, things like that. So we'll have to now go, of course, to Vic and Amber to give us some insight of any tattoos or any future plans of tattoos, or if your parents ever got onto you for one. But I got my first one when I was 18, and I think I hid it from my mom for about a total of like 3 weeks. But I don't know why that's a sudden funny thing amongst our team, but they all seemed to, that was a main consensus question they wanted to know on the first ever CTS podcast. So Vic, anything for you?
Wow, that is a rough one, Dillon. You touched a
On the
nerve
spot.
there. Well, so I cannot hide behind the fact that I did end up getting a couple tattoos during my tenure here at CTS. So the funny
Okay.
story
Oh, just during
I
the
have,
tenure, not before.
but during my tenure. So one of the funnier stories, I think, that my friends get a chuckle out of is that Dan and I were at a conference at what the it's called HIMSS, but it's the Health Informationary. Um, it's around health and technology, and we were in New Orleans, Louisiana, and we happened to stay at an area right after Katrina. We were staying at the Courtyard, but it wasn't the Courtyard Marriott. It was the Courtyard Hotel, and in the lobby was a tattoo parlor. So at around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. after a long night of hanging out, uh, as I made friends with some of the tattoo artists, they decided, hey Vic, you seem like you love your family a whole lot. So I have a tattoo of my daughter's name, my son's name, and my wife's name across my forearm and my chest,
That I
the
would
other
have never
arm.
thought.
And
I
and
can't
you would
believe
never
it.
thought that. And I realized the next morning when I woke up and Dan saw these patches of band-aids on my arms and my chest, and with a little bit of the aftermath behind that, and saying, what did you do? And as I peeled away, they were tattoos of all their names. So that is a true story of what happened to me during a work event at CTS. I don't recommend anyone ever doing that.
Well, I've been to New Orleans one time for a conference years ago, and it was they call it a hand grenade. Apparently, I don't know if they quite make those anymore, but that would probably be a tattoo instigator. So, Amber, from a younger point of view, you can also tell everybody just who you are and what you do with us now.
Yeah, so as Dylan mentioned before, I am new-ish. I am a marketing associate here at CTS Mobility. I came on around a month ago, maybe a little less than that. And it's been great working here. It's been great meeting everyone and getting to help everyone out. As for tattoos, I have no crazy story like Vic does, or as many as Dylan does, but my most recent one is New York inspired because I just came from New York. I just got my degree and graduated from Queens, a university in Queens called St. John's University. So I got a little tiny 1 inch tattoo on my ankle just to memorialize that time there.
Very cool. See, who would have thought, Vic? We'd learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Guys, I think the only other one that I'll keep Vic on for this one was a big question amongst our team, and even kind of some people out there in the LinkedIn world, is my switch from the fitness industry over to the technology sales, that type of world. I get a hard time every call or anything if I ever show up to an internal team call and I'm in workout clothes, or somebody calls me and they're like, "Are you at the gym?" I'm like, well, guys, I work and do things all at the same time. I've got a child to take care of, 3 dogs to take care of. So I was actually in the personal training fitness world for about 14 years. So I worked, all through college in personal training, group training, fitness any type of nutrition, coaching, stuff like that. And I actually got recruited by my campus rec director at the time, that she would cover all the costs it took to get me, certified, all that type of stuff to start working there. So I went through all that, and then got my certification, started training over the next couple of years. My bachelor's degree is in kinesiology fitness management. I left to work down in San Marcos area for a little while. Decided to go back for my master's in kines and finished that in 2014. And then I was self-employed for a couple of years. Then I decided to go work at Lifetime Fitness. You've probably seen those all over the country. I was there for about 5.5 years. I was in charge of a metabolic training program. So, testing, breathing, checking heart rates, that type of stuff. But over that time period, I had, trained hundreds and hundreds of people. But one of my clients' husbands was actually a director for Verizon, who is, of course, our exclusive partner at CTS. But all the time he was telling me, you need to come work for us. Like, you need to come try this. And I'd tell him all the time, I'm like, and I'll leave his name out, but I I was like, I don't know anything about that stuff. Like, I don't even know anything about phones or tablets or technology stuff. I'm like, I can go hook up a surround sound and some HDMI. It's like, that's what I've got in me. And I was like, I don't do sales. And I'm like, that's just never been my thing. And his response, I'll never forget it. He's like, Dillon, you're doing it right now. And I was, it never really occurred to me that what I was doing every day was still sales. I didn't have to ever sell really a product or a service per se, but even though at times I was, but it was always just selling the brand and selling myself. So I ventured to Verizon a couple of years ago, I guess probably 2.5 years ago or so. I won't forget it. I was at one of my good friend's weddings, getting ready like an hour before, and he calls me and tells me, hey, we're able to offer you the job. Because, of course, lots of jumping through hoops with hiring an external of externals and getting someone that has zero experience in the tech world to come work for one of the largest telecoms in the world. So I was there, and then early last year, I had some family things come up. I had to depart, but through a very high regarded director of Verizon now, spoke to Mike Geis, who's our VP of sales here at CTS Mobility. They went out for barbecue, and Mike won't let me forget it. He's like, had I not gone to that barbecue? So, he went to lunch, and he told this director, he's like, I need someone in Texas. I need someone local that knows the area. And he's like, Dillon's your guy. So about a month later, here I am. So we're going on a little over a year now with CTS. Great people. That's what another one of the questions was in the LinkedIn world was what differentiates us from our competition and other partners, things like that. And it's definitely the people. I mean, everyone here, if you told them, what's your highlight here, it's that we are a solution-based company, like Dan was saying. We aren't trying to nickel and dime to figure out, all right, what's going to make us the most money. It's what's going to solve the customer's problem or a business's problem, or, as a business owner in the past myself, I know what problems out there need to be solved. And it's what's going to retain them to where they want to do business with us in the future, and also, send their friends, send their fellow business owners to us. So that's always seems to be a question that spurs up is how does somebody go from working at a gym, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, to being at home in an office in front of a computer talking to you guys all day. So that's probably a story Vic has heard bits and pieces of, but that's kind of my journey is, self-employed, corporate gym, back to self-employed after the plague, after COVID, to working in a place like this. So very excited to be here. And like they were saying, this is our first of what will probably be about a weekly podcast. We'll have subject matter experts on. We'll have different, router, tablet, smartphone manufacturers. We'll have dogs hop on every now and then. I have 3 of those myself. Maybe that'll be a good opener for next time for us. But other than that, we just want to greet you guys, let you know who we are as a people. And if you guys ever have absolutely any fun or business related or use case related questions, always reach out to us, comment on our posts or send us a direct message. We'll be happy to address them, weekly as we go. So Vic, thanks for hopping on, sir. I know it's sunny there in California, so go enjoy some sun and open those blinds a little bit.
Overcast day, but I just want to say, Dillon, team, thank you very much. You hit the nail on the head. It's about the people. It's for Dan and I and our team. It's the people that we put around us that really make all the difference. I say it daily when people give accolades to our company, and it's really about what the team brings and what you guys bring. So really proud to be a part of this. It is a journey for us. We're a 20-year-old company that feels like our best days are clearly ahead of us. So super excited to see this.
Very cool. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll have this out for y'all to view every week, but again, if you got anything interesting you want to hear, just something fun off the cuff, we're happy to address it. Thanks, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to our first podcast here at CTS Mobility. We are so happy to have you. And if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and always be sure you're checking out our website for any sort of updates. But your most recent and most up-to-date things will most likely be on LinkedIn. If you have anything that you'd like us to discuss, don't forget to reach out or leave us a review or a comment. We'll be sure to address it next week. And keep diving into mobility, guys. We appreciate your feedback.